Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Just got through the door, flying back from Austin, back home, and in a week heading off to Iceland. Looking forward to getting some cool content to share with you. And who knows, maybe one day you all go to Iceland as well with your crypto profits and can see the places that you like that we share. So we're going to look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, BCH. Looking forward to covering the alts tomorrow. We've got members voting on alts that we're going to cover live right now. And that is going to be interesting because there's a lot of alts with a lot of opportunity as volatility picks up in this short-term bullish environment for Bitcoin. And I say short-term because we are anticipating this lower high. Our 7,200 target was hit. Previously, it was just below it, but now it has been hit. A lot of traders have a Fibonacci target, the 61.8 mark, which is about 7,500. My targets personally that I give are always on the conservative side because I want to ensure that my targets are hit and I'm not reaching too far. So a couple things I want to point out on this weekly chart, and I'm going to do a video for Nuggets News Australia's group tonight talking about my game plan on how I'm going to play this weekly chart and what I'm going to be looking for, and I'll cover that as well eventually here with these videos once we get closer to that point. But a couple things that stand out. Number one is that 7,200 mark is putting us right in the middle of this range. But something that I'm making note of, obviously, is number one, the downtrend that we're in overall over the last 10 months, 9 months, and the lower highs. So look at these two lower highs. The last weekly lower high was $99.50 and then $84.50. So essentially a $1,500 gap between that lower high. Yet our higher low only had just over $100. There is much less space here for the bulls to be comfortable with than there is for the bears to be comfortable with. So if we break resistance, it's unlikely unless we get significant bullish news to break multiple weekly lower highs in one go because it's not as tight. Whereas if the bears come out on top and break this equilibrium bearish, they're going to knock out both levels at once. So that's something that I note. The bulls have their backs against the wall a little bit more so than the bears do. Obviously, the overall downtrend has the odds in favor of the bears as well. If we were right now, if this was going to be our weekly lower high, I'd say the bears have probably a 55-60% chance of a break comparative to the bulls. Any further upside that we get from here, if we do get up to 7,500, that's going to shift those odds a bit in favor of the bulls. And I'd say if we get to 7,500, I'll give it a straight up 50-50, maybe a 51-49 for the bears, just again because it is in a clear downtrend still. But otherwise, it's really going to be anybody's game. And we're going to be looking at the potential of the ETF decision approaching at that time frame. Again, the time frame that we're anticipating the break is late September, early October, and we'll see if there's going to be a news event behind it. Another thing that stands out is the lack of volume here. If we were seeing increasing bull volume, we would be saying, wow, maybe these bulls can go right for 8,500 and break this resistance on this attempt. But because that volume is not increasing, that again makes it much less likely to occur. So the daily time frame for Bitcoin has seen some really nice higher lows continuing to follow through. And we have a new one. Our previous one was 65.72. Now our clear new one at 67.90. Long lower wick showed the bulls buying that dip. We held the exponential supports at this point, and we got that continuation. I did not play this move entering on consolidation looking for continuation because I've been traveling and stuff. And honestly, my focus right now on this sector is the weekly time frame. And when we get the break, it will be swing trading mindset because it's going to be significant. I will have a designated swing trading position and a designating day trading position if that does occur. So I'm being patient and I have no rush to get in. And honestly, I'm enjoying the time off. I remember when we were going crazy back in all the way through December 2017, and I was almost saying, I don't even care if we top out at this point because I need to sleep. And I'm enjoying not having to stare at the charts and just checking in on Bitcoin, once or twice a day and just patiently waiting for that weekly chart. But congrats to the bulls that are in these positions and getting these moves because, again, there's definitely profit to be had. It's just me making that choice to not be a slave to the screen at this point in time. And that is my personal choice. And again, I'm missing opportunity to a certain degree, but I am fine with that. And I've fully accepted that at this point. And that's because I have other venues that I am trading very actively all during the week. So I like the weekends these days. And that will change once we get this activity on this weekly break. Things are going to get pretty wild again in crypto, whether it's for the bulls or the bears, we don't know yet. And again, we're not going to predict. I'm not going to predict. That's not what technical analysis is about. We're going to react. So at this point, We are seeing healthy consolidation on the shorter term time frames. The 4-hour chart gave us that higher low where that arrow was on the chart from Friday. We saw the continuation to confirm the trend change, and then we saw follow through. We touched that exponential support and exploded to the upside, and now we're seeing this healthy consolidation. The hourly time frame got pretty darn extended to the upside. We saw the extended bull move, inside bar, another bull break. That inside bar bull break happened at 71.96. Very quick $100 to the upside for a scalp. And again, I would call that a scalp because if the RSI is over 80, you know we're going to consolidate shortly, especially if there's no news behind it. So we had the alert system go off with our overbought climax, which is a combination of RSI and volume. So RSI being over a certain level is criteria number 1, and criteria number 2 is that the volume has to be a certain percent above the average volume for the last however many periods. And we got that trigger that went off here on Bitcoin on Coinbase at 72.51, and one of our moderators, Julian, who does some of our cool intros, he went short at 72.53 right on that signal. And right now he is very comfortable in his short position. He's either locked in his short-term profit, anticipating the hourly higher low that was going to form, or his stop loss is at break even, and he's looking for a little bit more in terms of gains for a lower high and then a lower low on the hourly to see further consolidation on the 4-hour time frame. So that's one scenario where the alert system can not only be used for entries, but also exits as well. So here on Bitcoin, we're watching the 15-minute time frame. I looked at this chart as I was getting on the plane, and I posted in the chat room, caution, if we see this bearish reversal head and shoulders 15-minute pattern play out, we're going to see healthy hourly consolidation. And this is a good example of recognizing a pattern, but not acting on it because we didn't get confirmation. We have the left shoulder, the head, and the right shoulder, but what never happened is we never broke the neckline here. The neckline maintained its support of 71.74, and we held the higher low pattern and then saw continuation. So there were still some gains to be had for the bulls if being patient and letting the trend be your guide. So if I were in a trade and I wanted to keep my profit, I probably would have put a stop just below 71.74, but it never would have triggered and there would have been more upside. We have now lost the 15-minute higher low pattern, and the question is going to be how much hourly consolidation are we going to see? So far, it's exactly what the bulls want to see in terms of declining bear volume. We're going to be watching the exponential hourly support, the exponential 4-hour support to see where these bulls can form a higher low and if they can get follow through and continuation from here. At this point, the volume, again, it's not very notable. The volume from yesterday is still higher. We still have some hours to go, but not much. And we might see a lower volume day. Let's, again, always double check with multiple exchanges and want to see an exchange that has more volume than Coinbase. And it is a little bit different. So a slight uptick in Bitfinex. And then I go over and I look at Binance and confirm. So it's pretty much in line. So that does tell me it's not what the bulls want ideally. The bulls want clear increasing bull volume on that follow through breakout, and we don't have it. So that is worth noting at this point. So overall, Bitcoin bulls healthily in control as long as the daily higher lows are intact. We are looking to form an hourly and a 4-hour higher low, and it's going to require a lower high and a lower low on the hourly chart to see more prolonged consolidation at this point. Shorts are getting ready to re-enter their positions. We've been seeing shorts cover at this point. We were highlighting how high they were, and while we did not get a short squeeze in terms of a violent move to the upside and a ton of people exiting and huge volume, we didn't get that kind of move like we got back in April, but we clearly have seen bullish pressure follow through with the help of all these shorts covering. At this point, we've seen, we were up at 4,000, and I should say 40,000, and at this point, we've seen 18,000 shorts cover during this bull move. So you better believe that that's adding a little bit extra juice. While it's adding slow juice, it's definitely helping these bulls. But we are going to be looking for the bulls to, or I should say the shorts, to begin adding their positions again soon. They've been covering for an entire week at this point. We had almost broke the all-time high for the shorts here on Bitfinex. Didn't quite get there. We pulled back. I would anticipate a higher low compared to 17.2. And that's only because I'm not really saying, that this is a support level or anything like that. I don't view those charts this way in terms of traditional technical analysis, but just seeing where we are on the Bitcoin chart and where traders are looking for their Fibonacci levels and where the weekly lower high is likely to be set, the odds favor that we're going to see shorts begin to increase again. Probably tomorrow, I would expect a green day for the shorts chart here. So that's something to be watching as well to see if shorts are adding on and adding some downward pressure for that potential weekly lower high. But again, we're not confident that our Bitcoin weekly lower high is set until we lose the daily higher low pattern. One more quick note on the alerts, already suggestions coming in, people wanting dark mode, and we're going to work on that. But a quick fix in the meantime is this Chrome extension to add, and it makes, dark mode night reader for all websites, which is definitely beneficial if you don't want to burn your eyes out. So I'll link this in the comments of the videos, and I highly suggest that whether you're using for charts or whatever you're using it for, if you're on the computer at night, this is a very handy tool. Checking it on CXBTF. So this is the ETN for Bitcoin now. It hasn't been trading long, but this is an indicator that we can look at on Friday afternoons. And I like that fact that whoever is in this position cannot do anything Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or Saturday and Sunday and Monday now because of the holiday. So if you are holding CXBTF overnight, you are risking 3 days of exposure where you can't do anything. So I obviously don't like that fact, and I don't swing it for that reason, but it gives us sentiment. It tells us, if we're closing strong on Friday, that tells us that bulls are anticipating some continuation into the weekend, which is obviously what we have here. And you can note all the gaps. And if you are a technical analysis trader, gaps make things more difficult. And that's what you get when you have an instrument trading 24 hours and an instrument trading based off of that, but only open 8 hours a day. So again, I will can't imagine a scenario where I'm going to swing CXBTF, but I will day trade it with capital from my stock account. ETH/USD. So Ethereum got a bull break. We have 4-hour higher lows still intact, or these are actually the daily higher lows. Most recent daily higher low, 272.13. Inside bar bull break occurred at 284.70, and some decent follow through on that. We went from 284.70 up to 302, a solid 5+% move. So we have broken the lower highs. We're trying to get over exponential resistance. And again, Bitcoin is so much further ahead on its daily chart, but if I look at ETH/BTC, it's starting to get my interest now because we're close to breaking the daily lower highs. And when we break the daily lower highs, we're going to start looking for the trend change. Hasn't happened just yet. We got up to 419 and a lower high at 417. So it's still a lower high pattern. Let's look at it on the 4-hour time frame. But if we can change this daily trend, it's time to start keeping an eye on Ethereum and potentially having it be a better play than Bitcoin. Again, not yet, but it is something I'm now going to start watching. Every time I check in on Bitcoin, I'm going to check in on the ETH/BTC chart. Step number 1 is going to be breaking the lower highs. Then we need the higher low and higher high to confirm that the trend change is underway on the daily time frame. And who knows, maybe when we break these equilibrium patterns, maybe that's when we're going to see ETH/BTC make a bull break. Keeping in mind that there's 2 scenarios. If we get a weekly bull break of Bitcoin's equilibrium, we could see this with a bull break. And if we get a weekly bear break, we could see this with a bull break. There's 2 completely different scenarios. One of them will mean that Ethereum is breaking out stronger than Bitcoin, and the other one will mean that Ethereum is breaking down less bearish than Bitcoin is. So we have to keep in mind that, this chart going bullish doesn't mean Ethereum is bullish. It's just the comparison. BCH/USD, actually, let's look at a little bit more Ethereum. So Ethereum on the 4-hour trying to form a higher low, healthy consolidation at this point. Last higher low was 284.32. Anything above that keeps the bulls in control. Indication that we were topping out was obviously Bitcoin topping out as well, but the RSI did touch that 80 level, and we did have high volume there as well. So starting to pull back right now. Short-term support 294.10, 294.25, and if that level breaks, further consolidation is coming. So healthy consolidation at this point as everybody's making a fresh bull break today and just cooling off those overbought RSI levels. BCH had a beautiful day today. So also higher lows. It's been very similar to Ethereum in how it has been trading, but obviously breaking out and breaking the high of the previous breakout, which Ethereum is still not really close to doing just yet. So in terms of the biggest gainer today out of the major names, BCH is one of them. So nice follow through. Again, daily inside bar bull break. 546.02 was the signal, and we ran all the way up to 630. That's a very significant bull move and follow through. And look at the volume. Very notable. So we pointed out how Bitcoin's daily volume is not notable, whereas BCH is the highest volume we've seen in over a week. So definitely notable. The 4-hour RSI got up over 80, so 4-hour overbought climaxes were going off, as well as the hourly overbought climaxes. And we're now just starting the consolidation. We had the bull flag attempt on the hourly, then we formed a lower high and now pulled back, which on the 15-minute time frame shows up as a loss of, actually, we already had there's the bull flag attempt, lower high, and now we're breaking support, but we're not dumping. So that's worth noting. Whenever you break a clear support and there's not a ton of support below it, there's one level here at 610, and we're holding that 610 mark. But because we're not seeing a significant follow through, it's notable when you break support and you don't see a big bear push on bear volume, you make note of that. And that says, wow, the bulls are holding up really well, even though we are breaking some support levels. So that shows us that the hourly and 4-hour chart are seeing healthy consolidation at this point. And the only thing that's going to change that is if we see a spike in bear volume and a significant bear candle on whatever time frames we're watching, the shorter term time frames. So at this point, still very healthy. We will form a 4-hour high or low. It's just a question of where. 610 is a potential short-term short opportunity, although I would be pretty quick to lock in those profits because that 15-minute RSI is cooling off significantly without the price cooling off significantly really at this point. So very healthy consolidation at this point overall. 610 coming up right now. And let's check one last time in here on Bitcoin's consolidation. Very healthy. So let's see if these bulls can get some continued pressure. Again, the more we see upside, the more it's going to favor the bulls on the weekly, but also the more cautious we need to be because we know the most likely scenario, this is what I was talking about in the video yesterday. We know the longer term most likely scenario is a weekly lower high. So now we look on the shorter term time frames for potential signals that is occurring. The signals that I'm going to be looking for, the first signal will be high bear volume on the 4-hour time frame. The second signal would be a loss of the 4-hour higher lows. And the very convincing signal, but it's going to happen later, is going to be a loss of the daily higher lows. So if I were going based on the 4-hour time frame for a bearish entry, my risk to reward is going to be higher than if I wait for the daily. If I wait for the daily, my profit as a bear is not going to be as significant, but the probability that I'm right and that we're going to continue pulling back from the weekly lower high will be higher. So it's always a trade-off of risk and reward. If you want more reward, you're going to take more risk on. That's pretty much the way that it works out with trading and technical analysis. So we'll check back in tomorrow and see how it all plays out. I appreciate you all watching. At the end of the video here, we've got some Pavones, Costa Rica playing around in the river, and I'm pretty sure you can see the exact point where I got an ear infection from swimming in the river, just unfamiliar bacteria in a foreign land, and it was very interesting. I treated it. You know, I was in Pavones at that point. I don't know what it is now. It's building up a little bit, unfortunately, but at that point, you know, dirt roads, no ATMs nearby. You're just on your own to a certain degree. Have to drive 3 hours plus to get to any kind of town, city. So I treated it. Obviously, I was monitoring it very closely and was going to, you know, head to a doctor if I needed to. But with my ear infection, swimmer's ear, I just used garlic. And garlic soaked in olive oil, let the olive oil soak up that garlic and put it in with eardrops. And then also just a clove of garlic, break up the outer, you know, part of it and stick a clove of garlic in my ear when I go to bed. And that got rid of it in about 3-4 days. And I was just making sure that it didn't get any worse, and it did not. So that was a nice little natural remedy that prevented a whole lot of hassle of having to ride a bumpy dirt road bus into town. Go to Pavones, Costa Rica if you have the opportunity. We'll see you tomorrow. Continue to do good things. I've been having some great conversations with some Uber drivers. I'm on a streak of like 5 or 6 Uber drivers in a row, which is great conversation, and certainly enjoy throwing those tips out. They don't really get tipped that much unless that's just their con to get you to tip them. But where they talk about, you know, not really getting many tips, just $3 makes a significant difference. So I appreciate you watching. We'll see you soon.
Do something cool. Dan McNair climbing on the rock wall. Age 11, size 63. Oh, and he falls again. He's down. Do something for the camera, Dan. Everyone's watching at home.
Everyone?
Everyone. Even the president.
Hold on, I got a trick.
And he's going to attempt his trick. Dan McDermott. No! The judges give him a score of a 9. 9's pretty good.